Arctic air is moving south. Snow is coming to multiple regions. Temperatures are about to drop significantly across the eastern two-thirds of the country. That's the headline for the next 7 days. Right now, conditions across the United States couldn't be more different depending on where you're located. Eastern Colorado woke up to 17 degrees this morning. Wind chills down around 5 degrees. That's the Arctic air mass we're going to discuss in detail. Meanwhile, across the Gulf Coast from Texas through Louisiana and Mississippi, it's been warm and humid, temperatures running 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Mississippi dealt with severe weather and tornado warnings earlier today. That warm, unstable air is about to collide with the cold pushing down from Canada. South Carolina has been dealing with rainy conditions, near record warmth this week. That changes Sunday. Missouri has been quiet, temperatures hovering around 40 degrees. Calm conditions. Almost boring for those who follow winter weather closely. That mild pattern ends next week. South central Wisconsin was seeing rain this morning. Some areas are already reporting the transition to snow. That's how quickly this system is moving through. And Maryland, I know many of you have been waiting for accumulating snow. You've gone 2 years without a major snowstorm in some areas. This pattern has potential, but I'm not making any promises until we see how these systems develop over the next 48 hours. Let me show you what the models are indicating and why this setup is significant. The National Weather Service issued winter weather advisories from the Central Plains through the Great Lakes and into parts of the Northeast. That's a massive geographic area. The key player here is a strong upper-level trough diving south out of Canada, dragging Arctic air with it. The GFS model, the Global Forecast System, shows this trough digging deep into the southern plains by Thursday. The European model, ECMWF, agrees on the general pattern but differs slightly on timing and exact track. The NAM model, which focuses on North America with higher resolution, shows a more amplified system. When you see model agreement on the overall pattern but disagreement on specifics, that tells you the broad strokes are reliable. Arctic air is coming. Snow will fall across multiple states, but exact snowfall totals for specific locations remain uncertain at this range. Current jet stream positioning shows a strong northwesterly flow. That's the highway for cold air. Wind speeds at the jet stream level are reaching 160 to 180 miles per hour in some locations. That's significant velocity, and it's going to help push this air mass south quickly. Surface pressure maps show a strong, high-pressure system building over central Canada. Pressure values near 1040 millibars. That's a robust high, and it's going to act like a dam, forcing cold air to spill south and east across the United States. Behind this system, we're looking at temperatures that will run 20 to 30 degrees below normal for mid-January across a large portion of the country. Some areas could see temperatures that haven't been this low in several years. Let me break down the timeline and regional impacts. Today through Wednesday, the system organizes. Moisture from the Gulf of Mexico moves northward. That moisture is going to interact with the cold air diving south. When you get that interaction, you get precipitation. And when temperatures are below freezing, that precipitation falls as snow. Wednesday into Thursday is when the main event begins for the central United States: Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. These states are in the primary target zone for accumulating snow. Model data suggests snowfall totals of 4 to 8 inches across much of this region. Some locally higher amounts possible where bands set up. Bands are narrow areas of enhanced snowfall. They're difficult to predict precisely more than 24 hours in advance. But if you end up under a band, you could see 10 to 12 inches instead of 6. Wind is going to be a significant factor. Sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour, with gusts to 40 miles per hour. That creates blowing and drifting snow. Visibility drops. Roads become impassable even if snowfall totals aren't exceptional. Many of you remember situations where 6 inches of snow with calm winds is manageable, but 4 inches with strong winds creates whiteout conditions. Thursday through Friday, the system moves east. Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, parts of the Mid-Atlantic come into play. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, potentially into the mountains of West Virginia and western Maryland. This is where model disagreement becomes important. The GFS tracks the low pressure slightly further south, which would bring heavier snow to southern Ohio and northern Kentucky. The European model tracks it further north, which shifts the heavy snow into Michigan and northern Ohio. At this range, I can tell you with confidence that snow is coming to these areas. I cannot tell you with confidence exactly where the heaviest band sets up. That will become clearer Wednesday night into Thursday morning as the system develops and models have more data to work with. If you're in this zone, prepare for snow, have supplies ready, plan for difficult travel Thursday and Friday, don't wait until Thursday morning to decide whether to travel. Make that decision Wednesday evening based on updated forecasts. The Northeast is the wild card in this forecast. There's potential for a coastal storm to develop Friday into Saturday. This is classic January weather for the Mid-Atlantic and New England. A low-pressure system moving up the coast, tapping into Atlantic moisture, potentially bringing significant snow to major cities. But here's the uncertainty. The exact track of that coastal low determines everything. If it tracks 50 miles further east, you get rain in Philadelphia and New York, with snow confined to interior areas. If it tracks 50 miles further west, major cities get buried. And 50 miles at 3 to 4 days out is well within the margin of error. I'm watching this closely. The pattern is favorable for a nor'easter. All the ingredients are there. But I'm not going to tell you it's definitely happening or give you snowfall totals for Boston or New York when the models are still working out the details. What I will tell you is this. If you're from Richmond, Virginia, north through Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, and into Boston, stay informed. Check forecasts Wednesday and Thursday. This has the potential to be significant. It also has the potential to slide harmlessly out to sea. We'll know more in 48 hours. Behind all of this, the real story is the cold. Not just cold for a day or two, sustained cold that settles in and doesn't budge for nearly a week. By this weekend, high temperatures across the northern plains will struggle to reach 0 degrees Fahrenheit, that's minus 18 Celsius. Overnight lows could drop to 15 to 25 below 0 Fahrenheit. Wind chill values will make it feel even colder. We're talking about wind chills of 30 to 40 below zero in parts of Minnesota, the Dakotas, and northern Wisconsin. This is dangerous cold. The kind of cold where exposed skin can develop frostbite in 10 to 15 minutes. The kind of cold where car batteries fail, water pipes freeze, and being outside becomes a serious health risk. The Great Lakes region sees high temperatures in the single digits to low teens Fahrenheit by the weekend. Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, all looking at temperatures that haven't been this low since the polar vortex events of recent years. Even further south, places that don't normally see extreme cold will be impacted. Tennessee, northern Arkansas, Kentucky, southern Missouri. High temperatures in the low 20s Fahrenheit, overnight lows in the single digits. That's cold enough to stress infrastructure that isn't built for those conditions. Water pipes, especially in older homes or areas where pipes run through exterior walls or crawl spaces. The Gulf Coast gets a taste of it too. By Friday and Saturday, overnight lows in the 20s and low 30s Fahrenheit across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. That's freeze and hard freeze territory. Protect sensitive plants. Cover exposed pipes. If you have citrus trees, take precautions. Florida, you're not entirely spared. North and central Florida could see temperatures drop into the 30s Fahrenheit. That's cold enough to be uncomfortable if you're not prepared for it. Most Floridians don't own heavy winter coats, and that's completely understandable. Multiple thin layers work better than trying to find a parka. A sweatshirt under a windbreaker with a scarf and gloves will keep you warm enough for the short periods you're outside. This cold pattern persists through next week. The extended forecast models show high pressure remaining locked over central Canada, continuing to funnel cold air south. We're not looking at a quick warm-up. This is a pattern change that sticks around. Let me put this in historical perspective for a moment. Many of you remember the blizzard of '78. Parts of the Midwest and Ohio Valley saw 3 feet of snow. Temperatures dropped to 20 below 0 Fahrenheit. Wind chills were life-threatening. That was an extreme event. The current situation is not on that scale. We're looking at moderate to heavy snow in some areas, yes. We're looking at very cold temperatures, yes. But we're not looking at a generational blizzard. We're looking at winter weather that's significant but manageable if you prepare properly. The polar vortex event of 2019 is another useful comparison. That brought the coldest temperatures to the Midwest in a generation. Chicago saw minus 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind chills dropped to 50 below zero. Schools closed. Businesses closed. It was dangerous. This event will be cold, potentially the coldest stretch so far this winter for many areas. but based on current model data, it's not reaching those extreme levels. We're talking about single digits and teens Fahrenheit for highs in the northern tier, not 20 or 30 below zero. Why make these comparisons? Because context matters. You deserve to know not just what's coming, but how it compares to what you've experienced before. This is serious winter weather that requires preparation. It's not the end of the world. It's winter doing what winter does. Now let's talk about practical steps you should take over the next few days. First, if you live in the snow zone, check your supplies now. Not Thursday morning when the snow is already falling. Now. Do you have a full tank of gas? Do you have a flashlight that works? Batteries? Non-perishable food for 3 to 4 days in case you lose power or can't get out? If you use a snowblower, make sure it's fueled and ready. If you shovel, understand that heavy, wet snow is very different from light, fluffy snow. This system is cold enough that snow will likely be on the lighter side, which is easier to move. But it's also more likely to drift in the wind. For those in extreme cold areas, check on elderly neighbors, family members, anyone who might be vulnerable. Extreme cold is dangerous for everyone, but especially for the elderly, the very young, and anyone with compromised health. Make sure they have adequate heat, that their furnace is working, that they have warm clothing. If you have pets, remember they feel the cold too. Dogs still need to go outside, but limit time in extreme cold. Watch for signs of distress. Cats should be kept indoors. If you have outdoor animals, make sure they have adequate shelter and unfrozen water. Vehicle preparation is critical. Make sure your car battery is in good condition. Cold weather is hard on batteries. If your battery is more than 3 or 4 years old and you're heading into single-digit temperatures, consider getting it tested. Getting stranded in a parking lot is inconvenient. Getting stranded on a highway in a snowstorm is dangerous. Keep an emergency kit in your car. Blanket, flashlight, jumper cables, some snacks, water. If you get stuck or stranded, you want supplies with you. Cell phones are great until the battery dies. Have a phone charger in your car. If you must travel during the snow and cold, tell someone your route and expected arrival time. If you don't show up, they know to check on you. This seems obvious, but many people skip this step. Dress in layers. Multiple thin layers trap heat better than one thick layer. Outer layers should be windproof and waterproof if possible. Cover your head. You lose significant body heat through your head. Gloves. Not mittens if you need dexterity. Mittens if you need maximum warmth. For your home, let faucets drip slightly in extreme cold if you have pipes in exterior walls or unheated spaces. Moving water doesn't freeze as easily as standing water. Open cabinet doors under sinks to let warm air circulate around pipes. If you heat with a fireplace or wood stove, make sure your chimney is clear. Carbon monoxide detectors should be working. Never use a gas oven to heat your home. Never run a generator indoors or in an attached garage. For those waiting for snow in areas like Maryland, this might be your chance, but it might not be. If the coastal storm doesn't develop or tracks unfavorably, you could end up with rain or just cold temperatures and no precipitation. I know that's frustrating after a long wait, but I'd rather tell you it's uncertain than promise snow that doesn't materialize. If the storm does develop and track favorably, you could see significant accumulation. 6 to 10 inches is possible in the best-case scenario for snow lovers. But that's a big if at this point. Stay tuned to updated forecasts Wednesday and Thursday. One note about the Bears playoff game Sunday in Chicago. Game time temperature is forecast to be in the single digits Fahrenheit. Wind chill could be near 0 or below. If you're attending, dress accordingly. This isn't 20-degree football weather. This is serious cold. Layer up, hand warmers, insulated boots, face covering if wind picks up. Looking beyond this system, the pattern remains cold through at least the 20th of January. Long-range models show the upper-level trough remaining over the eastern United States. That keeps the cold air tap open. There's potential for additional systems to move through next week. Another bout of snow is possible across the Great Lakes and Northeast around the 20th to 22nd. Too far out for specifics, but the overall pattern supports it. The bottom line, winter is asserting itself. After a relatively mild December and early January for many areas, this is the cold and snow that was missing. It's happening now. It's going to stick around for a while. This is not unprecedented. This is not the apocalypse. This is winter weather that requires respect, preparation, and common sense. You've dealt with cold before. You've dealt with snow before. You know what to do. Stay informed over the next several days. Forecasts will be updated as model data improves and the systems develop. What I've given you today is the overall pattern and the most likely scenarios based on current information. Details will be refined. Check the National Weather Service website for your specific area. They provide the official warnings and advisories. Local meteorologists will have information tailored to your region. If you found this information useful, let me know. If there are specific aspects of the forecast you want more detail on, I can address those in future updates. The goal is to give you accurate information without panic, without downplaying, and with enough detail that you can make informed decisions. Stay safe, stay warm, and remember, this too shall pass. By the end of the month, we'll be talking about the next system, and this one will be in the rearview mirror.